Hello everybody, this is Refresh and I am here to take a look at the Chandra Planeswalker deck for Magic the Gathering. This is from Core Set 2021 and it is a red deck. On the back it says that you're getting Chandra Flames Catalyst, passionate, powerful, and possessing a short fuse. Chandra is always ready to bring the heat, launch a burning barrage directly at your opponent's life total until nothing but ash remains. You get a deck box, a 60 card deck, you can play tabletop or online, and one 15 card booster pack. You also get a strategy insert and 2 reference cards. Let's take a look at what's inside. Alright, we have Chandra Flames Catalyst. It is a 5 loyalty 6 mana planeswalker, and for +1 it deals 3 damage to each opponent. For -2 you can cast a target red instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. If that spell would be put into graveyard this turn, exile it instead. And for -8 discard your hand, then draw 7 cards. Until the end of the turn you may cast spells from your hand without paying their mana cost. So this is a pretty strong card, but not an amazing one, because it doesn't really have much of a way of protecting itself unless you can use a -2 to blow something up. You've already spent 6 mana, so there's a little bit of downside there. But, you know, maybe the rest of the deck works pretty well with this. There's a little bit of a curve into this Pringles-shaped card. Then we have our deck box with some Chandra artwork. Inside you get your deck, your strategy insert, and a single booster pack. Because the MSRP is lower, you get one less booster pack. Inside you have some information about who Chandra is. It's not really that much information. You don't really get a biography or anything like that. It's just the vaguest of descriptions, which is not satisfying, but at least it's something, which you can also say about the playing the deck information here. It's really vague on what the deck is trying to do, how you're supposed to do it, and accomplish winning. So not very good, but I guess it's better to have that than nothing, and then some information about some mechanical terms that will be important to playing this deck. That's probably the most important thing on this front side. On the back you have information on how planeswalkers work and what they are, which is great because it's a complex card type and it's good to have this information when you are dealing with newer players. Here's the deck. Chandra's Fire Maw appears to be the exclusive rare for the deck. It is a 5 mana 4/2 Hellion with haste, which is nice and aggressive, and then you can draw Chandra either from the graveyard or the library. Carol Keep Disciples appears to be the exclusive uncommon for this deck. It's a 4 mana 4/3 human monk, and whenever you activate a loyalty ability of a Chandra Planeswalker, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. So it's an okay body, and you get the incremental ability that when you're playing Chandra you can do even more damage. So it really is a lot of punching in the face when you have Chandra out. Stormcaller appears to be the common that's exclusive to this deck. It is a 3 mana 3/2 Ogre Shaman, and when it enters the battlefield it deals 2 damage to each opponent. So there's a lot of face damage going on here. It's interesting because you're getting cards from not Core Set, but here's some Throne of Eldraine and some Theros Beyond Death's cards. Then we have your tip card with information about popular Magic formats, which is not terribly useful for people who are just picking up one of these decks, but it's there. We have a turn guide, which is useful for newer players, as well as information on combat damage and attacking and blocking. And then you get your code that you can use to redeem the deck on MTG Arena. I've already done so don't worry about this code, but it is a really nice thing that you can purchase this and play it both on paper and on digital. And I think that all Magic products that you get on paper should have that, so that will make it more accessible to everybody on both formats. Now that I've taken a look at this, I'm going to play it against its peers, and I'll be back to let you know what I think. Alright, so I've had the chance to play with this deck a bit, and here are my thoughts. The first thing to note is that there are 2 real themes for this deck. The first one is damage to the face, and the second one is instants and sorceries. And these are probably best noted by the 2 uncommons at 2, and that's the Chandra's Pyroling, which gets stronger each time you deal non-combat damage to your opponent's face, and the Heartfire Emulator, which gets stronger every time you cast an instant or sorcery. There are cards that tie these together. For example, the Blister Spit Gremlin does damage to your opponent's face, and you can keep doing more damage to your opponent's face if you have extra mana open and you cast non-creature spells. So they'll untap when you cast a non-creature spell. You can pay 1 and tap it again to do another point of damage to your opponent's face. The thing is that the damage has to be non-combat, and so there are other cards that support this non-combat damage ability. For example, the Stormcaller, which is the deck's exclusive common, will do 2 damage to the the opponents when it enters the battlefield, which is pretty good. But aside from the Pyreling and the Chandra's Incinerator and Rare up there, there's not a lot of direct benefit to doing damage to your opponent's face, other than trying to just obliterate them out of the game with direct damage. And so a lot of the deck really functions a lot more in the non-creature spells side, but the payoffs for that are a bit limited as well. The Pyroceratops and the Spellgorger weirds grow as you cast non-creature spells, and then your non-creature spells are either combat tricks or removal, and so casting them usually is a way to win in combat or take out creatures. And so that is, I think, what the deck is trying to do. And it's fairly single-minded, but it is kind of effective just in general because of its ability to remove. You have 5 removal spells in the Shocks and the Slaying Fires, and then 6 additional combat tricks, which help. But I do think the combat tricks are a bit of a weird choice for this deck because you want to do non-combat damage to your opponent in order to trigger the Chandra's Pyreling or the Chandra's Incinerator. And the combat tricks in particular don't really do anything with non-combat damage. And so in some sense, I get that it will help the Heartfire Immolator sacrifice and deal more damage to a target creature or planeswalker, but the Immolator also doesn't hit face either. And so I find that some of the synergies here are a little lackluster. The Double Vision does help with the instant and sorcery's ability as well, basically doubling whatever spells you can cast, but it does cost 5 mana, and I think that this deck is trying to be just a little bit faster than that. Still, I found that this deck is probably a little stronger than average for these Final Planeswalker decks, and for a solid red deck at the very end of the existence of Planeswalker decks, I think that it's okay. Like, if you like burning your opponent's face, and you like casting instants and sorceries, especially to burn your opponent's face some more, then this is a deck that will get there. And I think that it's a fine deck to start with learning the game if that is what your interest is. Let me know what your thoughts were about this deck if you had a chance to play with it. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of my videos, you can hit subscribe. This is Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.